Okay, so it looks like the recording has started. It's 5:01, and I set the Teams meeting time from 5 to 6 o'clock. So I'll kind of start with an overview of the collaboration course, and there will be time for questions, but feel free as I'm kind of giving information to interject with a question if you have a question about something specific. So I'm going to share screen and go to the course site for collaboration skills. So when you log into Blackboard and click on that card for this collaboration skills for teachers and support personnel class, you should automatically be taken into the page that says course content. And then all of the modules for all weeks of the semester are open and available here, but it is often overwhelming the first week of class to open the syllabus and see the entirety of like projects that are due and work to get done. So the way that the class is designed is set up so that you can take it week by week, and then ultimately you'll have everything in place that you need to finish the course. So you don't have to kind of do the work of looking at what the projects are and trying to break down and pace out when you're going to work on what, if you follow this kind of week by week schedule. So I put in an orientation section the syllabus, a link to the course textbook, which is by Marilyn Friend. You can do a rental of the e-text. There's a hard copy version as well. I included in weekly modules PDF files of earlier editions of the course text, so that if you kind of need a bridge from like right now till whenever you're able to, you should be able to have access to content from chapters, even if it's not the content from the 9th edition. And I have some contact information for how to reach me. Contacts tool is unavailable. Why is that unavailable? Let's see. Must be hidden. I'm going to exit for a second. Why is this hidden from students? All right, I will go unhide because it will be helpful to have this available to see when the office hours are and to use the Teams link from here. So going back to course content, that orientation module basically has syllabus linked to the course text, instructor content, contact information, and then from there, our very first module is on interpersonal communication. So the content for this week is all, I'm going to put it in student preview just to have you see it how you'll see it, all available and accessible within the module. There are links to the high leverage practice video, a TED talk. I have a PDF file of the chapters, and then one additional article. The things that you'll complete by Sunday at midnight for a grade are the introduction post to the discussion forum. And it is okay if you have an introduction that you've posted in another course that you're taking this semester. You can introduce yourself the same way. There's no penalty for being efficient that way. A self-assessment on your own communication style, and then a reflection on active listening skills. To do that reflection, you'll have to listen to a conversation or reflect on a conversation that you've had. So if you wanted to like sit down today and knock all of this out, that second reflection would require that you're having a back and forth conversation before you can write the reflection on it. So on the discussion forum for this class, you should be able to create a thread and add your introduction. It looks like we already have someone introducing themselves in that forum. And then go back to the second file on here is the high leverage practices. And you've probably heard about high leverage practices a little bit if you took the 8200 characteristics course with Dr. Russell. These will also be featured in every course in the initial licensure program. So depending on the course, there's a group of high leverage practices. For this collaboration course, we're looking at all of the high leverage practices that fall under collaboration. And so that's high leverage practice 1, 3, and 2. And on the content, there is a link to the website where you can read a little bit about high leverage practices. What that means is the Council for Exceptional Children, who's the professional organization anchored to the field of special education, had a pretty large representative sample committee look through research and find evidence-based practices that are relevant to the practice of being a special education teacher. And they coded and collapsed those practices that are known to be effective for teaching students with disabilities into a set of 22 practices. And so these are called the high leverage practices. Wait, I see Gray has a hand raised, so I'll pause to see if I can answer a question.
When I was looking through that website, and maybe it's different for you, I was able to click on HLP 1, and that took me to a new site. But HLPs 3 and 2 didn't like go to anything. Like when I clicked on them, nothing happened.
We can take that. Right. I know that they have been doing like construction on the HLP website, so I'm gonna see if there might be another route where they haven't like cleaned up the links, and then I'll go in and post in the module any updates to those links. Other thing I'll post as a backup, so HLP 2 and 3 links were broken, is a PDF file of the high leverage practices, like in a condensed document. It's kind of a lengthy PDF, but they give all the descriptions that would have been like taken from the website all in one PDF. So I'll link that just because we won't have to worry about if the link is broken by putting that PDF up. We'll put those on when we end the Teams meeting. And then other content for this week. This video is a TED Talk. I'm going to let the ad play for a second. So this TED Talk is a pretty brief, like, under 5 minute poetry slam about the danger of silence. And in the TED Talk in particular, it kind of fits with this particular week where for Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, we've been reflecting on racial injustice, tension we're all experiencing in the public schools where we're working with the really dangerous climate that we're living in right now. So the content relates to justice and civil rights, but also embedded in that is space to think about the types of communication and types of communicators that we are, so that content of that TED Talk is something that you'll be able to listen, reflect on, potentially have a conversation with someone about, and then maybe that could be what you reflect on for that second reflection that you'll submit for this week. Video on high leverage practices embedded on the Vimeo page. So researchers from the University of Kansas have had teams of scholars kind of make videos to introduce the different high leverage practices. So this video connects to high leverage practice 1, which is the video that, or the link that happened to have the content readily available for it on the Blackboard site. For content from the course text, I put this PDF file. This is from, I believe, the 8th edition of the course text. Again, there is a link where you could get the course text, either renting it for a fixed amount of time to have access to it, or buying it. We will use the majority of the chapters in the course text, so whatever makes sense, renting it or buying it, we will use. Me to purchase it. I thought I could show it. We will use the majority of the chapters throughout the modules in the semester. And the self-assessment is linked as an assignment. So you can find the assignment instructions, and then when you want to work on or write, you can create your submission and type in the text box. You can upload a file, kind of like you would do to attach an email. I work on a PC, so if you are using a Mac, I will have a difficult time being able to read content from a Pages file. I'll look at it on my phone, but I won't, necessarily be able to give feedback on it like I would if I could access a Word document. In the text link, in the text editor, you can copy a link to a Google document. If you kind of need something other than Word, other than Pages, you can have a Google Doc link that you submit there. Just make sure to make the document accessible so that I could at least read or edit the file, and then hit submit to turn that assignment in. I usually recommend after you submit to just verify that what shows up as submitted is what you wanted to have submitted. So if you type in the text editor, it'll show that you submitted text. If you attach a file, the file name and file type will be visible there. So it is worth kind of verifying just for the purpose of, having what you intended to upload match what I actually received. Most of the assignments I allow multiple attempts, so if you do submit the wrong file, you should be able to go back in and change it without any difficulty. If somehow the system won't let you do that, you can always reach out to me by email, and then I'll reset the number of attempts so that you can make sure you submit the correct file. There are optional resources on module, and really every module. What the optional videos are is the content from the chapter, the Marilyn Friend book. One of the earlier editions was written by Marilyn Friend and Linda Cook. And so a colleague of mine and I took the publisher's materials for each chapter and turned it into a video presentation. So it's an optional resource if it's helpful for you to like listen to the PowerPoint as a way to enhance your understanding of what's written in the text. You can use it. If it's not helpful, that's okay too. It just kind of gives an extra way of bolstering the content. And again, those are not required at all. They're just there as an extra resource. So every chapter that's assigned does have a kind of companion video presentation to go with it. And the PDF file for chapter 3 looks a lot like the PDF file for chapter 2, and then also has that companion video. So there is another submission. So there are 2 assignments in module 1 and the second submission. Sorry.
Indicating emotion.
You can kind of submit the same way for this second reflection as for the first one, where there is an option to do a text editor. And then I saw a hand raised, but looks like Cassidy.
Hi, sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself or if you already said this, but for the discussion post type assignments, are there any guidelines that you want us to follow, like length or like responding to other participants or anything like that that we should know about?
For future discussions, for the first one, for the discussion is just like the introduction post where I in the description of it kind of give a template of what you could minimally write. And it is okay to post only your initial reply on this thread. I'm not necessarily looking for you to reply to a fixed number of peers. You're welcome to. If you want to comment on someone's, you can. In future discussions, though, when there are like requirements of what the length should be or how many replies, that will appear in the discussion text. So if you don't see that, then the minimum would be that you're just doing your initial reply to answer the prompt that's given, and it's really up to you to how you determine the length of that response. So to someone, they might be able to answer the discussion prompt in a paragraph or 2, and someone, may have a lengthier response. So it's not necessarily that you're graded on the number of replies or number of words. It really is more specific to the content of what you're sharing in response to the forum.
Okay, thank you.
You can think of it more of like completion kind of grading. If you've got a response that answers the question, then you've completed it, rather than kind of prescribing a little bit more specifically. The last file in module 1 is an article from the journal Teaching Exceptional Children. And Teaching Exceptional Children is published by the Council for Exceptional Children, and it's meant to be a teacher-friendly, practitioner-friendly journal where all of the articles should give a very practical, hands-on tool that would be useful to a special education teacher, and that would be backed by research evidence. Generally, they publish strategies that meet criteria to be considered evidence-based. So there's a little bit more stringency and rigor to what we can look at as evidence to show that this is helpful or that this works. In this particular article, the quick collaborative meeting is described, and they give a little vignette or example of a teacher using this quick collaborative meeting, and they provide a template of what it could look like to document. This article is linked here, particularly because in your role as a special education teacher, before the students even arrive, you're likely going to have conversations with other professionals. Could be a related service provider, like a speech language pathologist, could be a paraprofessional. You might have a parent phone call. So throughout the day are going to be multiple demands for collaboration, and this mechanism of holding a quick meeting that's like goal oriented, has a purpose. You can kind of follow these guidelines here to help manage holding more efficient meetings. So this is just offered as a resource because it does have some practical advantage to it. It's not something that you would be like, you know, tested on in the course. This is just a kind of supplemental resource for that first module. The way that Blackboard is set up, it is so that you can't, like, it is set up so that you can go module by module. And if you complete everything in the module, you'll have everything finished for that week. But let's say your week gets a little bit hectic. Maybe you have some assignments that you weren't able to complete in module 1. That is okay. That happens. You can just reach out to me by email and let me know, I'm going to need more time on module 1. And that's fine. I'm pretty flexible with deadlines as long as you get it in by the end of semester and keep in contact with me. But if that happens, let's say we're as a class already on module 3 and you're like, oh, I think I have some assignments, I'm not sure what's due. You can go back to each module and look, or you can go to the panel that's on the left side for assignments. Everything that's graded as an assignment is going to be visible here to you in this panel, so you can kind of scroll down that way and check for completion without having to navigate through like a whole bunch of modules to see where assignments were. So you can use this navigation panel to find assignments, and the discussion boards are also all linked here too. So if you didn't get to post to a discussion or didn't get to reply, it is possible to go back through the modules and find it, but it's also maybe a little bit more direct just to go to this discussion board tab. In setting up the course and having everything available for the whole semester, all of what you would turn in is like already open and should be available to receive assignment submissions. So when you look at the grade book, everything for the semester should already like show up in this column for you as upcoming. Or I think just during this meeting, I was like starting that interpersonal communication flow. It shows that this little exclamation point that I've submitted it and that it needs grading. So you should be able to kind of get a feel for where you're at with any assignments that need to be completed, any discussion board posts, any projects by looking at the My Grades tab. I have set up the grade book so that you should always be able to check what your grade is for the class, because I'll have assignments due Sunday at 11:59, midnight essentially, and then I try to grade everything and return it within 24 to 48 hours. So if you check your grade by Wednesday morning, you should have points added for any work that you've submitted. If you don't, and it looks like still an exclamation point, you could reach out to me. It could be an error on my end where the grade isn't released, or it could be a Blackboard error. So I think it's valuable for you to know what your total point value and grade is as you're working through an online asynchronous course. So if you find like that you're questioning that, definitely reach out. The only consideration that I would offer in this is if you have some missing assignments and have fallen behind, the syllabus does have a late penalty. But I have fallen into the pattern of not entering a score of 0 so that the assignment can stay open to you to be able to submit, um, even if it's not by the deadline. So let's say you've turned in the assignments from module 1 and then skipped everything in module 2 and 3. When you go to look at your overall grade, it might look like you have an A or 100% because I haven't put the zeros in for the other assignments that are outstanding. And I'm open to feedback on that if you feel like it would be more helpful to have zeros to be able to know the grade. So I can change the practice and put zeros in. I just don't want to communicate the message that like the door is closed and you're, never able to manage life and go back and turn in late work. I'm pretty well aware that everybody's managing multiple roles and responsibilities and is taking a graduate level course. And so I'll meet you where you're at with everything that you're managing as long as you, stay in communication with me about that. So overall, you should be able to make your way through the course, kind of compartmentalizing week by week, module by module. If you ever feel like you need another resource or you want to check something, then the panel that's on the left-hand side, the grades panel, can tell you where you're standing, any assignments that are due are under assignments, and then any discussion board posts are linked there. Each week on Monday morning, I'll post an announcement. Today I posted it so that it would kind of show up for the start of the day, which we started today on Tuesday. So you'll be able to see those announcements. They should also go to your GovState email as soon as I post them here. And then the other thing that I will post each week is a video overview. So when you start next Monday on Module 2, Team Problem Solving, there will be a video added here with me giving an explanation of what's due for the week, any finding that came up from any glitches that happened in the week before. I'll highlight in the video. Those will usually be like 2 to 3 minutes. So at minimum, you should be able to navigate all of the modules asynchronously and anticipate that Monday mornings you'll have an announcement in video to kind of just make sure that you're on course with how the course content is flowing. I am going to stop sharing just so I can see who else is on the call. From what I've shared in the video, what you've seen so far in navigating, what kind of questions do you have, or what do you think might be something that I could do to support or make your time in the class be manageable and helpful?
Now, for this class, it's like the oh gosh,
Asynchronous.
asynchronized.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, and this class is the 8600. Is this the
Yep, 8600
and
collaboration.
collaboration? Yes. And then I'm also in 8350. And are they both like everything is due Sunday at 11:59?
All of the online asynchronous classes have that set up where everything is due Sunday at 11:59 from that module. Um, and we've tried it different ways where we've set up a different due date. And it seems like it's like you're always going to, split the middle somehow.
Okay.
So for now, some people on this call might also be in 8200. So across those 3, any classes that you're taking will have the Sunday due date for the module activities.
Okay.
And so we can trial it and kind of check back in the end of week 2 and end of week 3, and I'll, poll and get feedback on if there is something to change. But because I'm teaching all 3 and kind of shared that, like, yes, the syllabus has a late policy, but I generally don't, like, penalize immediately on that as long as you even just send me, like, an email or text, like, "Hey, I'm behind on module 1," or "I need more time." It's the hefty workload to work full time and many of you are taking 2 grad classes, so I'm kind of walking with you in that, and don't want you to feel like you're just doing work to meet a deadline and get it done. Like, have some value to it, and just stay in touch with me about if you need more time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I see you have the class meetings where like before with the other class we had where we can pop in.
Yeah.
Um okay, yes. And will this be the same link for that? Or
Yeah, it will always be this Teams link that you can
okay.
pop in on. And so you can come in, like, this week and next week. I have this Teams link for 8600, the Teams link for office hours that runs on Tuesday from 12 to 3, but also Thursday 5 to 6. As the
Nice.
semester progresses for this collaboration course, there'll be a couple opportunities where you can come on synchronously to do, like, a mock IEP meeting. So there's a couple different
Oh, cool.
collaborative opportunities that if it's something that fits in your schedule, you can hop on and join. I'll record and then post the recordings as well. So for this class on collaboration, we do, like, a mock IEP meeting. In the methods course, some of the synchronous meetings that you can join are demonstrating teaching strategies, so kind of giving an overview of the strategy, modeling it, and then having people who are on, like, practice the role of teacher or student with some of the methods that we use. But because the course is set up in the schedule as online asynchronous, there is no, like, penalty if you can't attend the synchronous meeting. So it's just available as an, like, added way to come on and connect with other people, whoever is available.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Um, Justin,
Hi, you can all hear me, right?
I'm sorry, Justin, I couldn't hear that well.
Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me better
Yeah,
now?
I can hear you better now.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I just wanted to say I'm actually in also the 8350 as well.
Okay.
And it's just gonna be a lot to get back into, like, the whole routine of this.
It is.
Especially
We're,
since at least it seems the first week in both classes there's just more stuff than the other weeks.
more stuff in the first
It,
week,
it
like,
yeah, it just seems there's more readings, at least from what I was looking through them. There's more readings and there's more like videos we gotta watch just in, like, the first week for both of them. The other ones, there's still a lot, but they're just seem a little less.
right. So, in this class in particular, some of those videos and resources are optional, like the ones that are labeled optional.
Yeah.
The the readings, like the article from Teaching Exceptional Children, the content on high leverage practices, I can maybe, like, code it on the description. Some of those would be, like, it's good to know that that information is there. You can kind of skim it. The information that's in the chapters from the course text would be where I would like focus more energy on reading. So even though there's a lot on there, some of it's labeled optional. But if you were to prioritize, like the way that I would do it is I would look at what's turned in and graded. From there, like what do I need to read in order to answer what's graded? That would kind of be where I set the priority. So
Okay.
for one of the reflections, if I was going to use that Danger of Silence TED Talk, then okay, I'm going to prioritize watching this 4-minute video in order to get that
Yeah.
assignment done, or I'm going to prioritize, reading this chapter to answer the question. And so you can kind of have some of what the other content is be something that you look at it, you kind of skim through it, you have some knowledge of what's on there. And then if the timing of office hours works out, we can come and discuss further on it, or you can always, set up a separate meeting. But you will have throughout all of the modules more information than you're likely going to be able to consume within the content of a week.
Okay.
And that I mean I can see where that is overwhelming, even though it's meant to be like, okay, give you resources, you'll be drawn to
Yeah,
what's there,
just
maybe have it on your radar.
prioritize is
Yeah.
basically your okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. That's what I would recommend at least. Okay. I see we've got other hands raised. Glenetta, it looks like I don't know what the numbers mean. Maybe you're raising your hand.
Order.
Order.
We can let
So
Gray go
Gray,
because she's
yeah.
number one.
Okay.
Oh,
They're number
the
one. Yeah. Gray.
notifications.
I know. We're all learning.
I had two quick questions. In terms of the late policy, I know you were saying as long as we're in communication, it shouldn't be an issue. Is there any kind of time frame in terms of like when we need to be in community? Like if I realize at like 11:30 on a Sunday, like, oh, this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. It's going to take me a little bit longer. If I shoot you that email at 11:30, is that going to be like enough of a warning to?
Yeah. I mean, do whatever works. Even if you can't, I mean, let's say the worst case scenario, something happens and, internet's not available to you on a Sunday night. You don't get anything restored until Wednesday after the due date. That is okay too. I potentially will reach out to you if like my threshold for concern is like, hey, this person hasn't been active for, 2 consecutive weeks. I'll reach out. But it's really, I'm open to whatever as long as I hear from you. I work some wild hours and I'm a very early morning, like up by 4 kind of person. So I will reply. Like I do have a bad habit of replying when I read a message, and I should use like the schedule send thing just so that you all think I'm a little more normal than I am. But I don't always do
I
that. So
appreciate it.
Yeah.
whenever you reach out, I'll reply, but that might mean then that you're getting a reply at midnight or on Sunday or whatever. Yeah.
And then in terms of those optional synchronous meetings, are they always going to be at this time or
It'll vary a little bit
Okay.
because of your schedules are going to vary. And so if I feel like if I only do Tuesday at this time, I'm going to miss the chance to connect with someone who's, taking a class on Tuesday or coaches
Yeah.
or does something. So I'll stagger it.
in that same vein, I actually work I need to leave for work right now. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have to sign off, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you. Hey, it looks like now you're number 2, so you can ask the question.
Yes.
With
Hi,
Hi.
Dr. Jocelyn.
Yeah.
So I know you had brought up the text, but I couldn't catch if you said that was a 9th edition because I went on a Governors States University's bookstore site to see if I can find the 9th edition, and they had a different. It looked like it
have
was a different edition.
a 10th. So the hard copy that I held up is the 9th edition, But I think when I linked the text
Mm,
on Blackboard, I think that Pearson has changed to only have available the 10th edition.
okay.
They're honestly like there's new content in from like edition 8 on.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you find that is like, you know, within the most reasonable price range, if you end up going with like the 8th, 9th, or 10th, you'll have access to content that you need. The chapter titles would be what you would look at rather than the chapter numbers because they have reorganized a little bit. But I think when I click the
Okay.
link to go to Pearson directly, oh no, it does take me to 9th here. But the Governor State one took you to a different edition.
Well, yeah, when I pulled it
Hmm.
up, excuse me,
Yeah.
it didn't look to be the same. Like,
Oh,
um, so when I clicked on the link on the syllabus, it brought me to, what is this? Thrift Books. And this is the 7th edition.
I
And it
think
says,
I might have put a link that somebody sent at a point when whoever had found like the cheapest version. I think we copied
oh,
that link on
okay,
there. Um, so on the one on
okay.
Blackboard will take you to the Pearson site. I've been checking today on all the different course textbooks and trying
Mhm.
to see like it varies by day. I compare with Pearson because they're the publisher. So like today, the course text for the characteristics class was cheaper on Amazon than it was on like the Brooks publisher. Um, and so I think it is worth
Worth
shopping
getting.
around a little bit because Pearson already takes
Mm,
enough of our money. Um, to find
that's
whatever
facts.
works. But in the meantime, there
Hmm.
are the PDFs. If that's helpful to you to read it on there. I know some people prefer a hard copy text or prefer an e-text where they can like
If
click and
PDFs are
annotate.
out there, I could save my money. But
I know. Right. I
yeah,
mean,
I will print those at work and read those. And
yeah,
if it's just as well, they'll give me the content that I need, to
right.
help me with my assignments. So
I know. I
okay.
tried to vary where the chapters come from just because, I didn't want to have a copyright violation. You could say a book. So I'm like, well, if I take a certain
Mhm.
percentage of the 9th edition, a certain percentage, I could kind of cobble together what you need
Right.
in the interim.
Will the PDF, when somebody asked a question, will those always be provided, or will we be expected to get the book?
I, I I put them all in, but I kind of also
Yeah.
have to say that you should get the book. But if you look, like you'll have the PDFs that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So now it looks like Michelle.
Okay, I was just going to comment on oh, good evening. I'm sorry, everybody. I was just commenting on the e-textbook because I've been using it ever since I started with 8200.
Yeah.
Um, I particularly, it will just give me the 9th. I didn't see the 10th, so I guess that's what you had in your syllabus, so that's why I went with.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing 10, probably, I don't know if that's just a recent addition that they just decided to upload it because but even with the title, it should have brought up 9 and 10. But I just
Right.
kind of went with just what the
Just
syllabi
9.
went,
Yeah.
what the
Um,
syllabus asked for.
yeah, everything on the
And I
syllabus,
just bought
everything
the
on the
book like
Blackboard site
the other
uses the
day.
titles from 9. So if that's what you have, then you'll be able to follow what's on the syllabus and what's on Blackboard. Um, and I know like Pearson does not necessarily follow a particular rhyme or reason to when they release the new editions, but across the different editions of this text, there's very little variance in the chapter title. So if someone on the call gets the 7th edition, you'll be able to figure out which chapter is which, or you can, reach out to me and I can help compare. I think that the Pearson site,
Hmm.
if you just look at the e-text version there, I think the table of contents is like available freely. You wouldn't have to purchase the book if you wanted to try to match the two. I'm happy to help with that as well. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing I have found with using the Pearson site for the e-text is that if you give a question within maybe an assignment, that the chapter would not be the same page number, or it wouldn't be worded so
Oh.
much the same, or they would drop out a whole chapter altogether that you may have assigned it with a former edition that included a
Yeah.
chapter. So that I found has been an issue. And I
challenge.
think with Dr. Elhaj's class, I had to just tell her, hey, this is found on page this, or they dropped the chapter 15 and you're requesting for us to summarize 15. I'm just, just
Right.
giving an example. So that was the biggest
Yeah.
thing that I've seen over the last semester. So I don't know if that will be included somewhat. I will, of course, find it out. But if that is it all right if I just email you the same way?
Please,
Like,
yeah, email.
okay.
In this collaboration course, unlike in the assessment course, any assignment that is related to a chapter reading, it isn't specifically going to ask you to like look at the table on page whatever. It's going to be a more general question that you could answer from the text. So I hope that will help reduce some of the burden that you had in the assessment, the psych diag class. But if there is a discrepancy where like the print edition looks a little bit different than the online, or something about that question doesn't seem like it could be answered, please reach out if you notice that, and we'll try to work out a solution so that it doesn't create extra burden for you to have to try to rush to get an assignment done, or not be able to have information you need.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from Rachel, Cassidy? Anyone else, or anyone really? I don't it was. Right. So this 8600 collaboration class starts today. Many of you are also taking the 8350 class, and I'll do a synchronous meeting for that class next week on Thursday. But because I have kind of a big handful of classes this semester, if you reach out by email, just try to put the course title or number if you're going to ask me a question about like, hey, the discussion post. Because so many of you are in multiple classes, I might not know which one you're asking about. So to the best that you can, try to include either like, in 8600 or 8350. If not, I'll probably reply and ask for it, but then it might delay getting the answer that you're looking for. Right.
That's understandable. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll hang on for a little bit if anyone has questions. Otherwise, I'll post the recording. I'm going to stop the recording now just in case someone has questions that they don't want recorded.